is Jeanneau, and today we are taking you on a tour of the brand new Sun Odyssey 415. We introduced the boat at the Annapolis Sailboat Show back in October. Today is a beautiful day here in Annapolis in December, and we are going to give you a full walkthrough. It is the very first boat of the brand new generation of Sun Odyssey, the 9th generation. It follows in the wake of the Sun Odyssey 410, which was such a popular boat, still is. So you will see we kept some elements of the 410, and then we completely redesigned the interior. So we'll take you on a tour. All right, so starting at the back of the boat, I will start with the swim platform. It's very wide, very deep as well. It's a great space to get on and off the boat, to of course jump in the water, go swimming. You have a flush ladder here that you don't get to you don't stub your toe on it, but it's also very easy to deploy. And then right here, very accessible, you have a life raft compartment, which most people honestly will use for storage or water toys, inflatable paddle boards and things like that. And then here you have a very deep compartment for storage as well as your propane locker. All right, so as you approach the boat, you will notice that we have given a lot of attention to aesthetics and function. And I will start with the transom. We added a flared transom, and that will actually carry through the other models of the new generation. And matching that, we have also redesigned the push pit. So it's a flared look, so it's aesthetically pleasing, but it also has a function. Now it's a natural handhold to climb into the cockpit. And then other things that we have done in terms of branding, we have branded the halyard, the sheets bags. We have branded the winch handles bags as well. So instead of the plasticky winch handle holder that turns yellow or breaks, it's now made of fabric and it's branded. So a lot of attention to detail like that. All right, so before we talk about the cockpit and the interior layout, I want to say a few words about the hull shape, because at Jeanneau, the very first priority we have is that our boats need to sail well, and that they do. So we actually kept the hull shape of the Sun Odyssey 410 because it works. So you will notice that we have a hard chine that sits pretty low, and so that gives you an incredible volume inside. But because we have the chine, when it hills over, it actually sits on the chine and then moves forward and doesn't keep hilling. So that gives you incredible stability. The other thing that you see is that we have an inverted bow, and as well you have lots of volume forward because the chine runs aft but also forward. And what that does is it brings the bow out of the water, again giving you a lot of stability, a lot of responsiveness at the helm, and it doesn't slam into the waves like you would on a older boat with a pointy bow. And the last thing that we have on the hull is twin rudders, and again combined with the chine and the bow, again gives you incredible stability, because when you think about it, we have canted rudders, so your leeward rudder will always be buried in the water. All right, moving forward, I'm at the helm on port side. So I'll start with the seating here. We actually moved the backstay, so you don't have the backstay wire in your back, which makes for a more comfortable seating. And then nice helm on each side, which frees up really the passage forward and access to the transom and access to the cockpit. And then because of the walk around decks, you have great position and great sitting position. You can have your legs straight, you can sit outboard completely, look at your sails while you're helming, and then look how comfortable it is to trim your sail. I can do it sitting down while helming, but I can also brace myself, again the push pit here, great position, lots of leverage, and I can trim my sail while looking at it, which is the best position. So I'll tell you a little bit of a story, because on my older boat, I had my daughter who was laying down, very comfortable. It was a cold day. She was like all snuggled up right here. And I said, okay, ready to tack. She looks at me and she says, go ahead. I'm like, no, you got to move, because she was laying down right there on the sheet, right? So she had to move, and then I had to get there. I don't have walk around decks, so I can't remember how I do it. I was like this, and I was trimming my sail. Well, guess what? I'm not looking at my sail. So it's really not the best position for it. We have completely changed the game with the walk around decks and the winching position. All right, so along with your well-positioned winch here, you also have your lines that come back to the helm, right? So you have your main sheet and then your jib sheet. So we have a German sheeting system on this boat, like a lot of our boats. We have a bridle system, so we don't have a traveler. And I would say that works for 95% of our clients, right? If you're a hardcore racer and you really want to like fine tune your like upwind performance, yeah, you might want a traveler, but trust me, we don't miss it on this boat. It really simplifies everything, and by using the Vang, you actually get a lot of tuning of your mainsail. And I also want to say that our boats are designed with purpose, right? So we know that we're not going to have a traveler on the boat. We know we're not going to have Jeanneau tracks on the boat. Our sails are designed accordingly, the sail shape, the sail material. So that really eliminates a lot of hardware on the deck that you don't need, extra holes, extra leaks and all of that. And it's simple, it's safe, and people love it. So as I said, we have friction rings for the Jeanneau instead of Jeanneau tracks as well, and you can fine-tune the jib lead from the cockpit. Super convenient, inspired from racing boats as well, and gives you like trimming of the jib to a millimeter, so works excellent. Let's go on deck. All right, so if you are after the thrill of performance sailing, we have different rig configurations, and we actually have on this boat the performance rig with adjustable backstay and DCX sails on the jib and the mainsail. And we have actually made it easier as well, because you'll notice the gooseneck level is much lower than it was in the past, so that gives you more sail area, but also easy access to your lazy bag to zip it in and out. All right, so I moved forward to show you a couple things. One is the anchor locker, a very deep anchor locker. You can actually fit 8 fenders in this anchor locker. So it's quite impressive, and it frees up a lot of space in the cockpit. And the other thing I want to talk about is the bowsprit. It's not only visually pleasing, it makes for a really sexy boat on the water, but it also achieves a lot of things, right? It clears the anchor line and the anchor off the bow of the boat. Also gives you a great tack line for your code zero and another tack line for your spinnaker, asymmetrical spinnaker. So great feature to have on the boat. It also looks great. All right, so before we head down below, I wanted to talk about the cockpit. Look how spacious it is. We talked about the sailing of the boat, but you know, you'll have guests on board or family on board, and they'll be here enjoying themselves, having cocktails, having lunch, and that's such a sweet spot. Look at the size of the table. So you can sit 6 people around the table quite comfortably. Lots of storage as well in the table, some cup holders that are nicely located. And again, you are not in the way of the sailing, right? Or the sailing is not in your way. So you're not gonna have to move when you're tacking or maneuvering the boat. And just very comfortable cockpit here. All right, so before we dive into the interior of the boat, I just wanted to show you how gentle the companionway steps are. And it's very important, because keep in mind, we always have safety and comfort in mind. And then you just have to imagine carrying groceries, you're side to the dock, you're coming onto the boat with your groceries, walking around with the walk around decks, coming into the cockpit, going down the steps and putting your groceries on the counter, and you never had to put them down. Starting with the configuration of the boat, we brought the galley aft, so we now have a traditional layout with an L galley here on port side and a very social sitting layout in the main saloon. So the galley also has a lot of storage, a very big fridge, 50-gallon fridge that you can access from up top, but also with a vertical door in the front, so that you can access stuff at the bottom of your fridge, right? And then plenty of counter space with this neat counter here that goes over the sink, or behind the sink when you're not using it. And then great faucet on your freshwater faucet as well, or saltwater faucet, sorry. Lots of storage, as I said, and also designed with purpose, right? So you have utensil drawer here that's very big. Storage here with shelving. Of course, storage for your microwave here that can also be just simple storage. Utensils drawer here, or you can put your phone here, because we do that anyways. And then again, if you come and look at that with the purposeful storage for your dish soap and your sponges here, and a double bin for trash and recycling, as well as a basket that you can take in and out for like cleaning products and things like that. So as I move about the boat, I just wanted to point out a few things that we have changed on the 415 and that really truly make a big difference. We have changed the door handles, we have changed the push locks throughout the boat. And then as we have done in the cockpit with branding on the sails, on the winch handle bags, on the sheet bags, we also have branding here. And then solid trims throughout, and nice handrails everywhere, so that when you move about the boat, you always have a place to grab here, here, and you finally get to your cabin. So super important, again, with safety in mind. And here you have the brand new main saloon with seating on port, seating on starboard, very social layout. And we have also improved the fabric and the seating area. So it's plush, it's comfortable, nice backrest, rounded, super comfortable to sit here at the table. We have an optional table that goes up and down for turning into a berth. And I also wanted to show you the storage because, of course, you don't have the upper cabinet, but that doesn't mean you don't have storage on the boat. And here, under the seating area, you just have to remove this cushion here. And this is on a piston, so it stays up, which is super convenient because you can put your stuff down. And look how deep it is. And so that's great, and it's all around under the seating area, which is super impressive because on this boat we have air conditioning, but the air conditioning compressor is here on starboard, and the water heater is located between the two aft cabins. So there's no systems whatsoever under the seating area. So look at how much storage that is. So I moved on starboard, and that's your nav station, right? So you have access to your chart table, your system here with your sailboat panel to have access to your tankage, your battery level and everything. You have your breaker panel here. And what I really like about this setup is, as I said, you can turn this table on port into a berth, right? And in the morning, if you kids had a sleepover in the main saloon, for example, you don't have to bring the table back up because they can just sit here, have breakfast maybe, or play cards. So it's a great setup for not only navigating or maybe using as a workstation with your laptop, but also for just socializing, playing cards, having breakfast and things like that. Love this setup. Just like the walker on decks, we tend to take it for granted, but we have queen beds again on the 415, so that's awesome because you can just go buy regular sheets and bedding, and of course a really comfortable sized bed. You can have your back against the front bulkhead and read a book and look at the water. Nice lighting, indirect and direct, lots of ventilation, lots of hatches, and a lot of storage again with really big drawers. You have two of them right here under the bed, and also storage at the head of the bed. You have an optional sink here against the bulkhead, which I think is very convenient because if you don't want a full head, you can still have a sink to brush your teeth. I like it. But you can also have a head, like you can see we have the groove for the module here. So you can have a 2 cabin 1 head, 2 cabin 1 head, 3 cabin 1 head, or 3 cabins 2 heads. So I moved aft, and right before I talk about the head, I wanted to talk about the wood. This is the gray cedar option, and we also have a choice of teak. So the teak is a little bit darker, so it gives you a different ambiance. And of course, we have different choices of fabrics. We have leathers, vinyls, fabrics. We have some whites, some blues. So a lot of choices for you. So let's look at the head now. You can notice it's very bright, very spacious as well. We've changed the cabinetry to have white laminate, so it's super easy to maintain. Lots and lots of storage. And as I step into the shower, you can notice the headroom. I'm 5'8", so a lot of space here. And we have a glass partition here, so you don't have a wet head and you have a separate shower. So a lot of space here, and really you would expect that on a much bigger boat. So super impressed. All right, so I moved to the aft starboard cabin. Again, this is a 3 cabin 1 head layout. So we are here on starboard. You can notice a lot of light, a lot of ventilation. We have 5 windows total, 3 opening ports. Another advantage of the walk around is that you get an additional port that you wouldn't get on a traditional boat. So you really don't feel, like you're entering a cave. And as a guest, that's super important, right? You have a lot of storage as well, with a very big hanging locker here, and storage on the sides as well. So on the 3 cabin layout, your port cabin is identical, other than that's where you will find the breakers and also access your generator. In the 2 cabin layout now, that port side cabin becomes a storage area. You can have extra refrigeration, an extra freezer, shelving, and you can access this storage compartment from up in the cockpit or from the interior of the boat. So very convenient to store fenders, sails, water toys, you name it. A lot of space in either configuration. Just wanted to show you the engine that you access from under the companionway steps, but also from the aft cabins. We have some access compartments there. We went with a 45 horsepower Jeanneau shaft drive, trusted brand that we've been working for years with, and we have a 5-year warranty on the Jeanneau. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this quick tour of the Sun Odyssey 415. I personally love the boat. It was a huge success at the Annapolis Sailboat Show, and it sits right at the heart of the market. It's a perfect blend of comfort and performance. You will see it at your local dealer this winter, this spring, and you can always find us on Jeanneau.com, but where I really want to see you is next spring on the water.